David Nail is coming to see us here in a few minutes. Very excited, bringing a brand new single in memory of his grandpa. Welcome to the show that is Coffee, Country, and Cody from the Magnolia Lobby studio of the Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center. Beautifully sunny morning here. Kelly Sutton, Charlie Mattos, Aaron Cooper, Jeff Roberts, Master Control at the Grand Ole Opry House. And there are a lot of ways to watch us. You can pull up circlecountry.com and link to all the streaming platforms. And then, of course, Circle Now is available in your app store. A lot of people watch that way, and it's on demand for 24 hours. If you miss something or you see something like Daniel Donato yesterday, who was just extraordinarily talented as a guitarist.
Right.
And his Cosmic Country celebration coming to the Caverns in Pelham. That's April 20th, I believe. And you can just pull that up, again, for 24 hours on demand. What you working on?
Well, a very depressing story. Good morning. We're going to tell you why you should go back to sleep. You are what you sleep. It is really fascinating how a lack of sleep affects you and the bad side effects that go along with it. And it makes you feel older than you truly are.
How you feeling, Charlie?
You doing okay?
What'd you get, 3-4 hours last night?
Let's see, 11 to 3, 4 hours and 21 minutes.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
great,
but what
great,
did
great.
James McMurtry tell you recently on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry, brother? What did he tell you? That was in the past.
James, how was it to step in that circle? I don't know. It was in the past.
Yeah, 30
Well,
seconds ago, James.
This is going swimmingly.
I don't have.
Pull the ripcord.
I have an idea that James doesn't have a problem sleeping.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
So that is a fascinating topic. We will dive into that more in just a little bit. Plus, Hicks tape, the diff tape is coming out from our friend Hardy. We've got a rundown of that. And the weirdest thing someone ever gave Dolly Parton.
Oh.
We had that story, and it was weird because all three of us, none of us had heard this story until
Yes.
now, even though it came out in 2011.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
I love seeing this guy's face come through that studio door. We have known each other for a long, long time. David Nail, welcome to Coffee, Country, and Cody, man.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So what year did you get to town? We first met, because I met you when you first got here.
Well, I came a couple different times. The first time I came right out of high school in '98 and quickly retreated back home.
Well, we did that to Garth, too, you know.
Yeah. A lot of
Came
people
a
do
couple of years later when I was a little bit more, it's funny, I thought I was a little bit more mentally prepared when I was still a baby then and had no clue. I mean, I didn't know anybody. I just, I'd gone to about my third or fourth college and they weren't passing me either. So I felt like, I probably should put all my eggs in this singing basket and try my best to make it.
Larry Gatlin made a reference the other day that he was going to do a Townes Van Zandt tribute at the Opry and how long it took to sing Pancho and Lefty as a solo, because it's a duet. We know from Willie and Merle. He said, it's longer than fifth grade both times I took it.
That's hilarious.
But
There was probably a couple of grades that I could have done that too. Definitely in college for sure.
So you went back home for a couple of years. What'd you do in between? Did you pursue music still, or what?
I mean, I was singing, of course, and I joined I went to Arkansas State University for a year and a half and joined a fraternity, and you learn some really bad habits that I could apply to when I moved back, and it's funny. I just thought, I was really unprepared for graduating high school. I honestly thought, there's not a 13th grade. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Did you want to be a ball player, didn't you?
Yeah, well, and I came here initially and played junior college baseball at Aquinas College when they still had sports. And then literally as soon as I got here, they announced that they were getting rid of sports. So I was like, well, okay, that ship has sailed. And so I had to kind of figure out a plan on the fly, and everybody else was trying to figure out where they were going to transfer and play. And I, at that point, realized that, I wasn't going to be a professional at that, but maybe this other dream had a little bit more potential. And so I began, singing a lot more, and that's where I had my Tanya Tucker story that I was referencing earlier.
Tanya is in the news because she
Yes.
has a new tequila cantina in town.
Tanya Tucker's Tequila Cantina going to be on the second floor of Nudies, opening on May the 2nd.
Are you doing PR for them?
Yes, unofficially, yes.
she just wants an invite to the grand
That's
opening.
right. I better be there.
And a nice merch bag.
I just want to stand outside and watch people leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But your Tanya Tucker story, you said, I've got the best.
Okay.
I mean, it's of all the stories I have to tell about my time, it's it's pretty legendary.
You want to tell it?
Well, I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. I was selling boots at Boot Country downtown, and it was literally like the one of 2 days that I thought, I got to get a cowboy hat. So it was like one of the 2 days of my life where I've worn a cowboy hat. And so I was walking out to go to my car to leave, and this limousine pulls up, window rolls down, and of course I knew exactly who it was. It's Tanya Tucker. She leans out and she goes, "Hey, cowboy." And I was like, oh my gosh. And she said, "What do you do?" And I said, well, which is funny because I didn't sing at the time, or like other than my apartment. And I said, "Well, I'm a singer." And she goes, "Oh, I bet you are." And she shouted out this number for me to call. She goes, "Call me tomorrow." So I'm like the worst memory in the history of the world, ADD boy over here. And so the whole way home, which is probably about a 25-minute drive, I'm saying this number over and over. I got home, I called like every friend that I had and said, "I've got my big break. I'm gonna call Tanya Tucker tomorrow. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna sing." And so the next morning, first thing, 9 o'clock happens. I don't even know like if that's when the music business opens. Now I know that it doesn't. It's 11 o'clock now.
Yeah, it's 11.
And so I called, and this young receptionist answered the phone, and I tell her the story. I said, "Tanya told me to call," and she goes, "Okay, hold on a second." She put me on hold for about 5 minutes. Finally comes back and she goes, "I really don't know how to explain this other than the fact that Tanya does this a lot. And I wish you the best of luck." And that was it. And so after like 2 hours of calling every friend, my parents, it was like 10:30 at night. I'm waking people up saying, "I finally got my big break." So then I had to retreat to this is before cell phones. I had to retreat back and call everybody. They're, wondering like what had happened. And I was just like, evidently, that's something that Tanya partakes in a lot, late at night. So that's the story. My Tanya Tucker big break moment that wasn't a big break.
Please tell me you had a chance to share that with her.
I have not. In fact, I went to Glenn Campbell's last show here where she was, and evidently she was trying to have a moment backstage, and I thought, man, this would be the perfect, not perfect time to confront her about this and ask her about, ruining my dreams back when I was a 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid.
Here's what needs to happen. Collab. You guys need to collaborate on something now. You need to just say, "You owe me one. I'll put on the hat, but let's do something together."
That's the best part. My favorite part about it is like literally like one of 2 days that I ever wore a cowboy hat in my life is the day like Tanya Tucker thought, "Hey, cowboy."
Well, the great story on Toby Keith was it was the one guy in his pheasant hunting group that had on the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
That brought about the birth of Should Have Been a Cowboy, because she came over to him at the table and asked him to dance. And as they were walking out to the dance floor, Toby said, "Should have been a cowboy," because they had on their camo.
Oh, wow.
He wasn't wearing a cowboy
I've never heard that
hat.
story. That's great.
Awesome.
That is great.
So you fast forward, and now you got monster hits that people know every word to. You're coming to the radio station to debut the brand new single, but we got to do homework first.
Okay.
Life gets in the way.
Exactly.
Right? What subject were we doing early this morning?
What grade homework are we doing, and what subject?
Second grade reading, maybe a little bit of math, but it's crazy. Like, I feel like from the first of the year, you'd have this little passage that was probably a couple of paragraphs, and you'd have to time them to read it. They'd have to read so many words and not make any errors. And then literally one day they brought home, and suddenly it was 2 papers. Like 2 entire pages, and it's like, whoa. And there's, they're trying to trick them. Everything's like like the I before E except after C, and so they put like 15 words that applies to, just trying to trick them instead of like, hey, let's just teach them. It's very, very different than when I was in second grade back in the ancient times, When I was in second grade, I feel like all you did was recess and maybe 2 plus 2. And you had multiple recesses. Now they only have one recess, and but we also don't have parents bringing us Chick-fil-A every day either.
That's true. That is true.
David Nail, if you just joined us. So you and Catherine have how many now?
We have 3. We have 8-year-old twins, and then a 3-year-old, 3.5-year-old who is pretty daggum special. She started out sleeping with us last night. She's like the child, like you can't tell no. And
I believe among the last times you were here, you announced that you had just found out that you guys were pregnant.
Yeah,
your third child.
we had a lot of issues, a lot of trouble getting pregnant, and you know, it's a funny story. Peter's heard this, my guitar player over here, a million times, but it was Catherine came to me one day and she said, "Hey, babe, we don't have any children," and I was like, "You're kidding." Are you sure?
Things
Are you
have been
sure?
going so nice.
Yeah. We've been married for several years, and I was like, and she goes, "Well, that's a problem, and you have a doctor's appointment on Monday." And I was like, "Sweet, this is how this is going to go. We're moving this quickly." And so it was about, I don't know. I have a hard time doing the math now, but it took a couple of years after that moment to initially get pregnant with the twins, and then 5 years after that to get pregnant with a baby. And so they're all miracles. You know, every child's a miracle, but my 3 are definitely all miracles, and thank the good Lord for them every day. And the little one, you know, we had been unsuccessful with IVF in between the twins and her, and so I always call her the extra miracle. She was like, you know, the icing on the cake, because, you know, I think whenever you have your children, you just can't possibly imagine not having one. You know, it's just become so much a part of you, and we're all the time talking about, well, what if, like, because with IVF, you know, they were all sort of happen at the same time, and you just kind of get to try to pick and choose when you're going to have them, and so we're like, well, what if we'd had 2 girls first, or what if we'd had Lawson and Ellie instead of Lawson and Lily Kate? But it's crazy. The good Lord he makes it how it's supposed to happen, you know, and just super blessed. But yeah, I love all my children. If they're listening before they go to school, you probably should head out right now, because you got to be there in 15 minutes. But the little one, she's just the spitting image of my wife. I mean, she looks exactly like my wife did at 3 or 4 years old. So it's like reliving my wife's childhood every morning.
So they've heard you on the radio or seen you on TV. What do they think of what Dad does?
You know, it's funny because COVID happened at like the weirdest time, because we had been so busy, but they were 2 or 3 years old, and they don't really remember those days. And then I was home for 2 years, and so they were just like, "Oh, Dad doesn't work. Dad doesn't have a job." And we've got the dad that's just a bum, and then suddenly we started working again, and so they sort of found out later, you know, at 5, 6, 7 years old. And so, you know, my oldest daughter, Lily Kate, is such a performer. She wants to be Taylor Swift. She's knee deep in that right now. And so they came to a show in Memphis last fall, and both my girls came out on stage and danced. And like the song was over, and the moment had passed, and I looked at them like, "Hey, that was great. You know, I'm a little choked up." And then they let me know with their eyes that, "No, we're not done. We want one more song." And so I think it was like "Let It Rain," which is totally not, you know, let's like shake our booties on stage with Dad's song, but they found a way to figure it out, and they did it.
David Nail with new music. Speaking of family, it's at the heart of this song you're going to do for us first this morning, "If I Could Call." And man, when I saw the title without hearing it, I just thought, how many times since my parents are both gone now, have those moments. And this is about your grandfather.
Yeah.
Tell us about him.
It's a tough one. You know, it's my grandfather lived across the street from us for I guess from 6th grade on, and passed away a couple years ago. And I think naturally when you something like that happens, if you're going to write a song about it, it happens pretty quickly after that. You know, this is obviously fresh. It's weighing on you. And this happened, and I looked today. It started because I had to bring the words out here, so hopefully if I read them, I won't get all choked up. But I started it on November 3rd last year, and it was probably 2 or 3 months of just working on it and fine-tuning it to craft it in the absolute most perfect way. And I finally had to just convince myself, like, hey, this is your relationship with your grandfather. No one's going to know, like, what's exactly true or what's, if the truth is twisted a little bit. And so it took 2 or 3 months to finish, and it was just I mainly wanted to do it for my parents, my mother, and it was just something that really spoke to me. And I felt like if the good Lord was going to send a song like this to you that about somebody that meant this much to me, I felt like I would be cheating myself if I didn't release it and put it out. And
what was your pet name for him? Your nickname?
Granddaddy. I mean,
Granddaddy, you call him. What was his name?
Lawson Brent. So, and that's really what the song's about. Is my son was named after him,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just that was like one of the first conversations I ever had with my wife was, hey, we moved very fast through the dating experience, and when the children conversation happened, I just said, hey, so if I have a son, I'm going to name him Lawson Brent after my grandfather, and that's non-negotiable. And one of my favorite memories ever of my grandfather is when I took Catherine home to meet my parents, and we walked across the street to meet my grandfather, and they just hit it off. They just went back and forth for a half an hour to an hour, and we walked out of the house, and Catherine looked at me and she goes, I get it. Oh. And it was just that was just one of those moments. And so all of our kids' names are family, but that one is extra special because not only did I name him after my grandfather, but there were many moments prior to my twins being born where we thought we were going to lose him, and he stuck around long enough to not only meet him but to be old enough for both my grandson and him to really share some time together. And so that's been one of the biggest lessons I've tried to teach Lawson is, hey, your name is super significant and super important. And there were times growing up where he was like, I wish my name was Brad, and I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't. That's right. Don't ever say that again.
David Nail, and that's live on Coffee, Country, and Cody, WSM Radio, all our streaming platforms, and your good fortune as you listen around the country and around the world, for that matter, davidnail.com.
Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
And we continue our visit this morning, live performance. We're going to play some of the hits, those number ones from David Nail, who's in studio with us. And Kelly, I have seen him on many occasions at the Grand Ole Opry talk about the fact that that's the one stage where you get the worst case of cotton mouth.
I was going to ask. Yeah.
It's
When was the
truly-
last time?
It's within the last year. I mean, it's truly one of the most mysterious things in the world. As many times I've played it, but it's true. You could light a match on my tongue. It's literally the one place where every ounce of fluid in my body just seems to absorb somewhere. And
You're not eating the
nowhere to be
popcorn, are
found.
you? That is a big no-no. And I learned that the first night that I was hosting Charlie's like, oh, don't miss the popcorn. The popcorn's great. So I eat some of the popcorn, and then I get up to start the show, and I'm like, I have nothing in my mouth now. I am dry as a desert.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay,
I mean,
stay
I
away
pace
from it.
around so bad. There's no. I mean, I've probably tried it, but I remember the first or second time I ever played it. I had so much water because it was like literally from the moment you walk in the dressing room,
Yeah.
it just starts to happen, and so I'm just pounding this water and. I got up on stage, and Vince Gill once told me, he said, if you're ever just crazy nervous, he goes, just start, making fun of yourself and trying to break like the tension or whatever. And so I just looked out to the crowd and said, I have had so much water. I just realized right now I really need to use the bathroom. Like on stage, and everybody just started howling. And I said, I wish I could tell you that I was lying, but like it literally all the water just hit me like a brick right now.
When would have been the first time you played it?
The first time I played it, I think, was in May of 2009 because my wife was having her bachelorette party in town. So we had to get, like 10, 12 tickets for all the girls. And it was like, I'll never forget. Like, I played it. She gave me a hug and then went out on the town. It was like, peace. Great job. I got to go party. And it had to have been May because we got married on June 9th. And I know it was like a couple of weeks before, 2 or 3 weeks before we actually got married.
I remember doing a morning show, I want to say our 75th maybe. It was early on. It's, again, back in the early days when you and I first met. And you did the morning show with me on the stage of the Ryman Auditorium. Do you have any recollection of that? Sitting out there in the air, singing live?
But I've said this, and you've heard me say this. I mean, your voice was the first voice I ever heard when I came to town. And so, like, every time, that's another thing that makes the Opry so emotional is, like, you introduced me, and it's just one of the greatest voices in radio history is sitting there introducing you, and you're like, what is happening? This is just such a, and so it just never gets old, and so it's just super special, not only to play the Opry, but then you add in him introducing you. It's just such a full circle moment, because I remember riding around in that 94 white Pontiac listening to you on the radio going, man, someday this is going to happen, surely.
And it did. David Nail this morning. And you just never get tired of those number one records either, do you? Huh?
No, it's been a while since I had one. One of these days we're going to have another one. I feel it.
Well, if I could call, it would be a good place to pick back up, I would say, huh?
That's right.
I hope so. That'd be special. I've already just gotten such a kick out of the people that have commented. We played a show up in Omaha last week right after it had come out, and people were asking me, if I was going to play it, and I was like, I don't know if this is necessarily the perfect place to introduce this type of song. Right. So I'm going to withhold judgment on whether or not I'm going to play it. And we did end up playing it, but the people that, were affected to it. And it's just, my wife tells me all the time I'm at that age now where a lot of our friends are losing their parents. And, so it's just something that you have to deal with as you get older. And, obviously one of the unfortunate things about life, but I've always said selfishly I write these songs for me. It was such a emotional moment for me, and then you sort of get to the point where it's like, okay, like I've got everything I need out of this. Now maybe I can put it out there for someone else to kind of get some sort of closure, some sort of healing from it.
Good morning to Frederick Dirks Bentley, listening to David Nail's live performance of If I Could Call a little bit ago and checking in.
Wasn't that a beautiful song?
And really, it's spanning. Dirks loved it, he said.
I couldn't look at him while he was singing it because I thought
I couldn't look
cry.
I started to look at you, and I thought, don't look at me.
Nope, don't look at me. No eye contact.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
One of the things that people don't realize in this city is every once in a while you'll get invited to go to an album listening preview. And it is basically a room full of people who are all staring at their feet and bobbing their heads because no one wants to make eye contact while this music is playing. You're listening to this music and you're just looking down because there's no good alternative. Like you can't look at the person who's singing. You just put your head down, and that is our etiquette for the day.
Charlie McCoy has got a birthday today. We want to wish our Grand Ole Opry family member a happy 83rd.
Oh, happy birthday.
He's at home. He has already gotten in his 3+ miles.
Or in Florida. I'm not sure if they've made their trek back to Nashville yet.
Maybe it's
because they winter down in Florida.
You think it's Easter?
Yeah.
Is that the turn you come back after Easter?
Sometime in March. That's all I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Snowbirds.
Yeah.
And it's Holy Week, Passover in the Jewish community, and the Christian community, of course. Good Friday is tomorrow, and Easter Sunday is this Sunday.
That's right.
Reba McEntire's birthday. Got to say hi to her as a Grand Ole Opry star as well. Rodney Atkins is 55. And I see that Gaga is turned 38.
Oh.
Today's her birthday, the 28th of March.
Real name is Stephanie, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Famously, Tommy White has played with her.
Yes, he has.
I
We've
love
learned that in our Opry Band Spotlight.
And he became Mr. Gaga. Remember there for a time backstage?
Listen, I'd be
at the,
Mr. Gaga.
That's fine with me.
There's far worse things to be than Mr. Gaga. She's really cool.
She's amazing.
I like her. The 60 Minutes piece they did on her and Tony Bennett was just so, you talk about emotional.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
That was incredible. That was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, there's a point where you didn't know that he even knew where he was. He was on stage, but wasn't in the moment.
Yep.
And the second he sees her, he's in the moment.
Yeah. And she said it was the first time in 2 years he's known who she was.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. That's what made, that was the thing. It was the first. And she goes, it was all I could do to stop but cry.
And he just looked at her and said, Gaga. Yeah.
Stephanie Joanne Angelina Germanata.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Known to the world as Gaga.
Lady Gaga. Well, let's talk a little bit about the text I just got from one of our friends who is awake and going to the doctor's office this morning. The text went something like, nothing like going to an early doctor's appointment and listening to y'all talk about needing more sleep. Good morning, Don Schlitz. We love you. Thank you for listening.
He got a standing ovation last night at the Grand Ole Opry.
He got a standing ovation Tuesday night at the Grand Ole Opry, too. And it lasted a long time.
And that helps extend your life.
It does.
I think science
Standing
proves that
ovation?
Standing ovations.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need some of those. Okay, so
and
here's
25 number ones will help as well.
Here's the big story that I found this morning that is really kind of, I don't know if it's waking us up or making us want to sleep more, but you don't feel yourself when you don't get enough sleep. We all know that, but you actually feel older. It's a proven fact. They've done a study now. The study at Stockholm University, Stockholm Syndrome, anyone? They said the less you get in sleep, the older you feel by almost 25%. So for every night that you don't get a full 8 to 9 hours of sleep, you're aging yourself in your feel age. They call it your real feel age, by about 25%.
So Charlie worked the Opry last night.
math
I'll
is
be
so
working
easy.
it tonight. So
How old are you, Charlie?
I know how
Real
old I
feel?
am, and I know how much 25% is.
75-year-old man sitting
It's
here
pretty
this morning?
easy, yeah.
Wow. Sorry about that. Okay. So basically they said if it's 4 hours or less, then it's even greater.
I got 4 hours and 20 minutes last night, so
Okay.
a little bit better.
4 hours or less, it ages you by 4.44 years. How about that? That's a
Yeah.
big old slap
Yeah.
in the face.
And good
Yeah.
morning again to Don Schlitz on the way to his doctor's appointment.
It's like what?
I don't think Don was up at 3 this morning.
And if I needed to add insult to injury, it says the older the test subjects were, the more pronounced the aging effect was.
That's everything.
There you go.
Yeah.
Basically, get your Z's, and it has a whole list of things that it's bad and it makes it horrible. We're not going to go down that
That's
rabbit
a
hole.
great adjective as it relates to medicine, though.
Right.
Profound. Has a
Yeah.
more
Yes.
profound effect.
Yes.
Sounds terminal that way, doesn't it?
Well,
So, does your alarms like mine that you have the preferred wake up time, the secondary wake up time, and the fail safe? This is the latest I can possibly wake up time, depending on how long. Because I can get ready from the time I get out of bed to the time I get out of my car. I can do it in 14 minutes.
wow.
So, because I've done it when I
whoa.
overslept one time, so I know I can do it in 14
Does
minutes.
this look like it's 14 minutes for you?
This-
This takes like an hour.
This does.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
This looks 14 minutes is generous for this. I think. I don't think it really. This part doesn't even take anything.
This is a full hour.
So
okay?
do you shower at night and don't shower in the morning?
Much easier.
Oh,
yes.
I have to
Really?
shower in
Yes.
the morning or I
Oh,
can't
me-
wake up.
me too.
I
Yes.
gotta get that
Yes,
water
yeah.
hitting me for
Yeah.
sure.
And,
Okay,
and
so
I just have the alarm set, and I can't tell you the last time
you heard it go off.
I heard the alarm go off.
Right.
Same.
Because you could get till
4:30.
like 5 if you at the latest possible
No.
to still make it here
But
on
you
time.
have a drive, so that
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I-
mine's
and I don't-
4:30 and I'm up.
And
I'm
Okay.
up.
I'm way
Yeah.
over rushing like the old days, so
Uh-huh.
I allow plenty of time to get up, take my time, eat, get the shower, shave if it's a morning to shave, and
Ooh, yeah, I do everything you just said. I do the night before.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to talk more about the weirdest thing somebody gave Dolly Parton ever
Oh gosh.
in our next
and
entertainment.
don't ever give this to someone.
No.
You're on Coffee Country and Cody, or we'll call DCS on you. Kelly Sutton Entertainment, Bill Cody, Charlie Mattos, Aaron Cooper, Jeff Roberts is in master control at the Grand Ole Opry House. You're on WSM Radio and all our Circle streaming platforms, the Circle Now app as well in your app store.
Now available, new episodes of My Opry Debut.
Something magical and special happens every night on this stage. Would you please welcome, making his Grand Ole Opry debut, Tommy Prine, everybody.
Having my Opry debut means so much to me. Every Nashville boy's dream that writes songs or plays music is to step into that circle. Such an honor to be here tonight. Thank you all for coming. I feel like I'm accepted into the world of all these amazing singer-songwriters and artists that have also stepped into that circle.
Grand Ole Opry debut, Tommy Prine, everybody.
You sure do favor your daddy. I can hear my mama saying that right now if she met Tommy Prine talking about Father John. And you can watch my Opry debut on YouTube. Tommy with the Shandellas, Sean Cassidy, Artemis Pyle. There's a huge list there. Opry's YouTube channel. You know, Grandma was a teacher, went to school in Bowling Green, traded in a milking cow for a Singer sewing machine. called her husband Mister. Walked real tall with pride and used to buy me comic books after Grandpa died.
Oh,
Thank you, John Prine.
so good.
Yeah.
Nobody can spin a yarn like John Prine.
Hey, let's go to Western Kentucky and eat some ham for Easter, speaking of John Prine country. Kentucky legend, the #1 boneless ham and boneless turkey in the country. Being #1 is no accident. They start with the best pork raised in America's heartland in the Midwest. Then they use only the finest hand-selected, hand-trimmed custom meat that are double-smoked in Owensboro, Kentucky over real hickory wood. And the result, what you get for Easter, or any time for that matter, but particularly ham for Easter, is the most flavorful, crave-worthy ham imaginable. Try it this Easter. You'll know why. Kentucky Legend is #1, and you can find out more, and it's incredible. The recipe ideas, and it's all categorized by, there's breakfast, and there's snacks, and there's soups, and there's sides, and there's entrees. It's all there with a click of a button at KentuckyLegend.com. That's the pizza rolls yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a ham and cheese pizza rolls.
Pretzel.
Ham and, thank you. I'm sorry.
Pretzel rolls.
Yes,
yeah,
pretzel
the
rolls.
Ambassador did those for us yesterday.
Nice.
Carrie Adams is the ambassador for the good folks at Kentucky Legend, and we have now we're putting in requests for her to bring us things every time she appears on the show.
She's sending you fritters.
Yeah, she's sending me fritters,
Yes.
ham fritters, and then I have requested Hawaiian breakfast pizza
Yes.
with Kentucky Legend ham next time.
I love that. That
Me
sounds
too.
amazing.
Now Charlie won't like it because he doesn't like fruit on his ham
That's so wrong. You haven't tried
or
it?
on your pizza.
I've tried it. Just warm pineapple is not my thing.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
delicious.
I'll pick off the pineapple and eat that separately. It's fine. I weird
it.
anyway.
It's
so
delicious.
it's
Okay. Well, congratulations to Adam Doliak. He's got a baby. We're going to tell you about that. Plus, the weirdest thing that somebody ever left Dolly Parton at her gate. These stories are related, hint, hint. And Beyonce has a track list, and it's also related. So all three of these, just a nice little through line coming up in entertainment.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Hey, we're getting ready to go to the Grand Ole Opry. Hang on to find out who's next. Watch Opry live this Saturday, though. Circle Country, brought to you by Kentucky Legend on Easter weekend. Kentucky Legend ham. Make Kentucky Legend ham a part of your Easter celebration and watch Opry live. I want the ham that Trisha Yearwood fixed. That's the one I want because she's on the show celebrating her 25th Opry anniversary, and it was Girlfriends Night, Kelly Sutton. It was Terry Clark, Pam Tillis, Susie Boggess,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and
Natalie.
Trisha Yearwood.
Yeah, we were all there.
Yep. So that's happening Saturday from Kentucky Legend.
And I gotta tell you, that's the only thing that I actually have for Easter is the ham. All the other things I am missing. I was making my list over here on my phone during the break. I'm like, oh my gosh.
If you're wondering what we do
It's
during
this
breaks.
weekend. I got to get croissants and butter and eggs and make sure that I don't know why it just snuck up on me.
Your buddy is your big butter and egg man.
Well,
you know this.
I know.
You know I offer this as a service I offer to my colleagues.
If they're watching in Georgia, your in-laws, we're just down to
I-
pecans.
listen.
Could we get a new batch of Chex Mix?
I talked to her.
Just asking. So.
I talked
I know
to
it's
her.
not an Easter thing, but maybe for us.
Last night,
Right.
I said, I just need to let you know they're still eating. And she goes, I brought that at Christmas. And
Yeah.
I said, yes, I know. And she goes, I'll see what I can do.
Do you know the shelf life of Chex? It's a long time. This
Clearly.
will be good for a while.
And
Clearly.
we are in radio and television. We
yeah.
have stomachs of iron after all these
Yeah.
years. Regarding your sleep study
Yeah.
earlier and sleep deprivation study, more to the point, from our buddy Bob in Macon, Georgia, I have to be the oldest person on earth.
Oh, Bob. I'm sorry. So basically, if you're just joining us and you didn't get to hear it earlier, there's a new study out that says for every night that you don't get at least 8 to 9 hours of sleep, it makes you feel about 23% older. So you can do the math. It's not good. They said your real feel is what you feel in your soul, not how old you are, your body,
Yeah.
presents as. So 8 to 9 hours. And if you don't get that, and especially if you do it 2 nights in a row, they said 4 hours or less is very, very detrimental. But 2 nights in a row, it's really, really bad.
So what would like 34 years in a row be? Because I think
Dude,
that's how long I've done mornings.
You're living on borrowed time at this point.
Okay.
Charlie Mattos, Old Testament,
Good
over
to
there.
know. Good to know. Woo!
Methuselah, come on.
Renee and I have birth at 104.
Yeah.
Have a new baby.
Oh my God. Well, that's Adam Doliak. He's not 104, but congratulations, he's a new dad.
And you named the baby.
Yes, Adam Doliak and his beautiful wife McKinnon welcomed their first baby boy. He is so cute, Jack McKinnon Doliak. He was born on the 23rd. He weighs 9 pounds 6 ounces, so he's not little. He's a nice size.
But Kelly has renamed him already.
Well, his name is Jack McKinnon Doliak. I said, if he's not Jack Mac Doliak, I don't know what you're missing out on. We said it earlier. I said, Jack Mac Doliak, give a dog a bone. I love it.
And when
It's
he
great.
goes to Las Vegas, he'll be Black Jack Doliak.
Or Jack the Mac.
Yeah.
Jack the Mac.
This old man came, stumbling
Yeah,
home?
this
Or
old man came rolling home.
Rolling home.
Right?
Give a dog a bone. Knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man.
came rolling home.
Rolling?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was
All right.
rolling. I don't know.
All right.
All right, so congratulations to the Doliak
Did
family.
Harmony back
Is
then.
that a Don Schlitz, right?
It was
No.
the B side of the Gambler. Didn't get much airplay.
Speaking of babies, I found this clip from 2011. The weirdest thing Dolly Parton was ever given from a fan. Take a listen.
Well, it's not a funny one, but the most unusual. That work is good.
Yeah.
Years ago when Jolene, my song Jolene came out, I came home one day from work. We just, we had our new home in Brentwood, and there was a basket at the gate, and I thought, ooh, somebody left us some food or something. And I looked in it, and there was a baby in it, and there was a note that said, my name is Jolene, and I want you to have me. You can have me for keeps, or something to that effect. And I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. So I went straight on up to the house. I thought, well, I don't need to touch. I don't know what to do. So I went to the house, and the lady that was at the house, I said, call child services, call the police, whatever. And then they came, and I never knew what happened. But that was the creepiest, weirdest thing. You know?
And as long as we've known her,
I did not know that story.
collectively and individually, none of us knew it.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
2011 is that interview that she did with Larry King. So, yeah. If somebody out there is 48, 49 years old and your name is Jolene, could have been you. Don't
And
know.
if your name is Charlie Mattos and you're sleep deprived, this old man, he played knick-knack on my drum with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came
Rolling home?
rolling
It is
home.
rolling.
Yeah.
The girls,
Yes.
the girls had it.
All right.
Thank you.
Give them one for the win there here on Coffee, Country, and Cody. Back to wrap things up here in just a second. Hang on. So Mark from Alabama called a little earlier and said the exit music when you leave Tanya Tucker's new place, which is called what, Kelly?
Tanya Tucker's Tequila Cantina opening May 2nd.
Well, I was up all night wondering what to do, thinking that I ought to just forget about you. But it's a little too late. Well, it's a little too late to do the right thing now. That should be the exit music as
Is
you
that
leave
it?
the
Okay.
cantina.
I like it.
Larry Gatlin and I will be together tonight hosting Opry Country Classic. Spotlight is on Crystal Gale. Did you see where she is, like through marriage, related to Dustin Lynch? Did you see her post? Yes.
Oh, that's sweet.
Her sister is married to somebody in Dustin's family. So
I didn't know
anyway,
that.
yeah, it was an interesting find.
Oh.
But Larry, Steve, and Rudy, along, of course, Larry hosting and Steve and Rudy by his side. Sonny Sweeney is there tonight, and Louise Mandrell as well. And we will be right back here on Good Friday as we head into Easter weekend tomorrow.